Hi folks, Modelling Mark here again. Hello Princess Threadlock. Come on, got a job for you.
You want me?
Yes, you.
Okay, if I must. What do you want me to do?
I'd like you to do the sticker board. Come on, we've had a couple more stickers through, so see if you can come and do the sticker board.
Okay then. Our first sticker is from Matt, whose channel is Tea and Biscuits. I just love his channel logo. It's well designed and just a little bit quirky. He did a very nice job of the Stuart's Oscillating Engine and has restored some Mammoth steam engines and traction engines. And he's got a 3-inch Burrell traction engine too. Obviously likes his traction engines. If that's your sort of thing, go and have a look at his channel. Our second sticker is from Mark, the English hobby machinist. His channel is very much like my dad's. He's made some tools and a couple of steam engines. Now he's halfway through the Wyvern petrol engine. Definitely well worth a look. His channel is very interesting. I'll put links to those channels in the description. The sticker board is coming along nicely now. Drop Dad an email if you'd like to do a sort of sticker swap.
Thank you Princess Threadlock. Now back to the Stuart Progress build. I'm going to tackle the cylinder this time. I'll start by putting it in a 4-jaw chuck. I'm going to start by skimming the valve face. I'll just take a skim off it so I've got a flat surface so I can reference everything else from. You can see I've squared it up against a 1, 2, 3 block. And that's close enough. Now I'll just skim off the valve face. Near enough. That's the valve face flat. Now I can skim the two ends. Now it's back in the 4-jaw chuck. Now I've lined up the edge of the cylinder with a height gauge so it's as central as I can get it. Now I've given the cylinder casting a good measure so I know how much I need to take off this end. Now I can drill and remount the cylinder bore. That's drilled to just under 1/2 inch and then room to 1/2 inch. This is done without disturbing the setup, so I know that the bore is truly perpendicular to this end of the cylinder. And this end of the cylinder will house the cylinder end cover that has the gland in it. Finally we go in with the 1/2 inch reamer. Now I've turned the casting round in the vise so I can machine the other end. I've tapped it back against a parallel so I can measure accurately from the surface of the chuck to the end so I can machine it to an accurate length. I'm not too worried about the concentricity because I'm only facing off.
Pardon me.
Now let's have a quick measure, see how we're doing. No, still a little bit more to come off yet. Now I'll do the final measure. Yep, that's spot on. Certainly close enough. Now the cylinder bore and end faces are done, I can take the port face down to its final dimension. I'll do this by putting a 1/2 inch drill through the bore, then mounting it in the milling vise. I'll just hold the port face square by bringing the drill chuck down onto it while I tighten up the vise. Now I can use my edge finder and edge find off the two sides of the drill to find the centre line of the bore. Now I can edge find off the inside faces of the vise to find the centre of the cylinder. Finally I can set the end of the milling cutter to the top of the drill using a feeler gauge. Then I can zero out the Z-axis on the DRO. Now I know exactly where the cylinder is in time and space, so now we can go ahead and machine it. I'll start by taking the port face down to its correct height. The next task is to drill and tap the hole for the pivot. Now, this doesn't want to be too deep because we don't want to go into the cylinder, partly because we don't want to break into the cylinder and partly because there's a big drill bit in the way and we don't want to break the drill. I've got a spring-loaded tap follower in the mill to keep everything nice and straight and true. Now I can drill the ports in the port face. These are two holes, 3/32 diameter and 1/4 inch deep. The depth is quite critical because we want them to intercept the angled holes from the end of these bore. I'll bring the 3/32 drill down onto a piece of shim stock. Now I can zero out the Z-axis of the DRO, then it's easy to drill the hole 1/4 inch deep. The last operation in this setup is to mill out the recess, which will match the recess in the frame. I think this is here partly for aesthetic reasons, partly to reduce friction. That's where we are now. Casting's been brought down to the overall dimensions, bores completed, and the port face is finished. Now I'm going to drill and tap the holes for the cylinder end covers. Now I don't have one of those fancy centering indicators that you see all the cool kids on YouTube use, so I'll make do with what I've got. I take a 1/2 inch piece of silver steel that's a very good fit inside the bore. Now I can use the DRO and the edge finder to edge find off the left and the right side of the steel bar and the front and the back, and using the half function I get the centre. Simples. Now I can drill and tap a 6-hole pattern on the end of the cylinder, which I'll do super fast because it's not terribly interesting. Of course I'm using the DRO PCD function to do this, makes it very easy. I didn't bother videoing the other end because it's exactly the same as this end. Now trying the cylinder up against the frame, we can see that the cylinder port face protrudes above the frame quite a lot. I think that's ugly, don't like it, it's gotta go. I've just scribed a line on the port face from the frame so I know where I've got to machine down to. It's not a particularly critical dimension, especially as it'll be moving and it's only aesthetic. Then I've put it in a vise and just lined the port face up with a square to get it vertical. Now it's just a case of milling it out down to the scribe line and milling out the remnants of the boss. It doesn't need to be too neat because I'm going to clad the recessed part of the cylinder in wood. That's going to cover up a multitude of sins. So I'll just get on and mill it out at super warp speed. and that's where the battery went flat on the camera, but I'm sure you get the idea. Here's the cylinder after the offensive step has been machined out. And this is what it looks like up against the frame. I think you'll agree that looks a lot nicer. Now I need to machine down the flanges on the end of the cylinder casting. These need to be machined down to the correct diameter so that they clear the frame. I did this on the rotary table. I haven't shown how to set up the rotary table or centre the part. If you go back to my knurling tool video, part 3, about 16.5 minutes in, I describe how to set up the table easily. There's a link to that video in the description. The other end was done in exactly the same manner, of course. Now the final machining operation is to finish drilling the ports from the cylinders. These are 3/32 diameter and drilled at an angle of 45 degrees. I've set the cylinder in the tilting vise at 45 degrees. I've used the wiggler to line up the drill with the edge of the bore. First of all, I mill a small flat on the edge of the bore, and I've got a flat surface that I can put a centre drill and drill down through. Now it's in with the centre drill, and that will be followed by the pilot drill and the 3/32 drill to finish the hole. I'm drilling down carefully until I see swarf coming out of the port on the port face, and then I know that the two port holes have connected properly. Now I'm just double checking with the torch to make sure the ports are properly connected. The other end is done in exactly the same way, so I won't bore you with that repetition. And that completes the machining of the cylinder. Here's the finished cylinder. There you can see where I've milled out the top of the cylinder so it's flush with the top of the frame. Here's one of the ends. You can just see where I messed up with the DRO setting and I didn't get the first holes in the right place. Fortunately, I picked it up after I'd just spotted the holes. That's it for this video. Next time I'll be tackling the piston. If you enjoyed the video, please click the like and subscribe. I really appreciate it. Thanks again. See you next time.